Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing well in your studies. So, today I am here to start with the Unit 6, The Dawn of a New Empire. Chapter number 4. The name of the chapter is The Mughal Empire. So, get the ball rolling. Babur 1526 to 30 CE. Humayun. The Sur Empire 1540 to 1555. Case study Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, the Mughal administration, the Mughal court. Now, history terms. Bigotry. Intolerance to others' ideas, beliefs and opinions. Regent. A person appointed to rule on behalf of a king who is a minor. Jizya. A kind of tax that was imposed by Muslim rulers over the non-Muslim subjects. Allies. Partners in war against a common enemy. The Mughal era has a significant place in the history of India. The Mughal ruled from early 15th century to early 18th century, after which the power and control of Mughal emperors started diminishing. The empire of Mughals extended over Afghanistan, Pakistan, India and China. The Mughal emperors were not just good warriors but also able administrators. They were tolerant of other beliefs and encouraged art and culture. It was because this that they were able to rule for so long over a long empire. With the War of Independence in 1857, the dynasty came to an end. Babur 1526 to 30 CE. Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur belonged to the Principality of Farghana in Central Asia. He was a descendant of Taimur from his father's side and Genghis Khan from his mother's side. At the age of 12, he became the ruler of Farghana after his father's death. However, his uncles and the nobles of the court were constantly trying to overthrow him. He conquered Samarkand but was unable to keep it under his control. In 1504 CE, he conquered Kabul. Babur was attracted by the immense wealth of India. From 1519 CE onwards, he held repeated invasions against Indian kingdoms. In 1524 CE, Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Punjab, invited Babur to help him overthrow Ibrahim Lodi, an unpopular Sultan of Delhi. Babur seized this opportunity as it paved the way for him to conquer India. Within 3 weeks of crossing the Indus, Babur brought Punjab under his control. Then he marched towards Delhi and met Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat in 1526 CE. Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi and laid the foundation of the Mughal Empire. In order to consolidate his empire in India, Babur had to subdue the Rajputs. Under Ran Sangha of Mewar, they had formed a formidable alliance against him. The two armies met at Khanwa in 1527 CE, where Babur scored a decisive victory. Babur also defeated Medini Rai of Malwa, ensuring that the power of the Rajputs was shattered. He was able to subdue the Afghan chieftains. Within 4 years, Babur consolidated his position in India. But before he could settle into his role as a monarch, he died in 1530 CE. Babur was a great leader, a good general and a brave warrior. He was a great scholar, poet and a lover for literature. He was a great scholar, poet, and lover of literature. He was very learned in Persian and Arabic. His autobiography was a Baburnama, which he wrote in Turkish, his mother tongue. It tells us about his life and his feelings about India. It also includes detailed descriptions of the flora, fauna, geography, and people of India. So, in his appeal to Babur, Daulat said, "My father and grandfather had spent many years in his service, but this Sultan prosecuted the most faithful of his vassals. He has put the death to 23 of his best men and ruined their families." Humayun 1530 to 1540, 1555 to 1556, was the second Mughal emperor of India. He ascended the throne in 1530 CE. Humayun divided his inheritance according to the will of his father and equally distributed the provinces among his brothers Kamran, Hindal, and Askari. The ambitions of his brother Mirza Kamrun weakened Humayun's cause against Sher Shah Suri, his most formidable enemy. Humayun was defeated twice by Sher Khan at Chausa in 1539 CE and near Kannauj in 1540 CE. Humayun's defeat at Kannauj cost him his throne. He fled to Kabul and then to Persia. For a period of 15 years, 1540 to 55 CE, Mughal rule was replaced by Afghan rule. Humayun's defeat left him without a kingdom. He wandered from place to place for 4 years, seeking help from the neighboring kingdom. He finally found refuge in the court of the Persian emperor. It was with the help of Shah of Persia that Humayun recaptured Kabul and Kandahar in 1555 CE and consolidated his position in Afghanistan. He returned to India and occupied Delhi and Agra in 1555 CE. Unfortunately, his rule was short-lived as he died due to his injuries of falling from the stairs of his library in 1556 CE. The Humayunama, written by Humayun's sister Gulbadan Begum, provides us with a detailed account of Humayun's life. The Sur Empire, that is from 1540 to 1555. The Sur Empire lasted for 15 years. The most famous ruler of the dynasty was Sher Shah Suri. Sher Shah Suri, 1540 to 1545. Sher Shah Suri was the son of an Afghan Jagirdar of Sasaram in Bihar. He was originally named Farid Khan but was given the title of Sher after he killed a tiger. He was an intelligent and a very ambitious man. Within a few years, he raised a large army and became powerful in the region covered by the present-day states of Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. He died in 1545, was buried at Sasaram. Achievements. Administration of Sher Shah. Sher Shah ranks amongst the greatest administrators in the Indian history. His system of administration was also followed by Akbar. Sher Shah divided his kingdom into 47 sarkars. Each sarkar was divided into parganas. Each sarkar or pargana was put under the charge of trusted officers. Sher Shah supervised every branch of administration personally. Sher Shah adopted every measure for the promotion of trade and commerce and introduced silver coins known as rupaya. It lasted throughout the Mughal period. It was also maintained by the East Indian Company until 1835. Sher Shah rebuilt the city of Delhi and found another in Punjab. He followed the example of kings of ancient India and planted trees, provided wells and sarais for the comfort of travelers. He also restored and rebuilt the road now known as the Grand Trunk Road or GT Road. Sher Shah ruled over about 5 years, 1540 to 45 CE. He was killed in 1545 CE in an explosion of a gun burst during the siege of Kalinjar in Bundelkhand. He was buried at Sasaram, where he had constructed a grand mausoleum for himself. Now we are moving towards the case study. The case study is of Akbar. So, after Humayun's death, the Mughal Empire was succeeded by his son Muhammad Jalauddin, or popularly known as Akbar. 1556 to 1605 CE. He was only 13 years of age when he became the emperor. He was coronated ruler at Kalanur, a small town in Punjab, by his guardian and tutor Bairam Khan, who was a faithful friend of Humayun. Jalauddin assumed the title of Akbar, as Akbar himself was too young to rule. Bairam Khan became his regent and looked after the affairs of the government on his behalf. Soon after his accession, Akbar decided to win back Delhi and Agra. The Mughal armies under Bairam Khan marched for Delhi. They met the forces of Hemu Vikramaditya in 1556 CE. Hemu was struck by a casual arrow in the eye and he fell down senseless. His armies fled in panic and he himself was caught and beheaded. Thus Akbar became the master of Delhi and Agra. Bairam Khan was a great general and looked after the affairs of the kingdom for 4 years, 1556 to 1560 CE, of great difficulty. In 1560 CE, Akbar took the reins of the government in his own hands and advised Bairam Khan to go on a pilgrimage to Makkah. He was, however, killed on the way in Gujarat. Bairam Khan's son, Abdul Rahim, later on became Khane-Khana in Akbar's court. Military conquests. After taking reins of the empire in his hands, Akbar decided to conquer the areas outside his empire. He conquered Gwalior, Ajmer, Jaunpur, Malwa, was annexed in 1561, Chittor in 1568 and Ranthambore in 1569. Between 1570 to 85, he led a number of military campaigns in Gujarat, East Bihar and Orissa. During 1585 to 1605, he conquered areas of northwest and the Deccan. Kandahar, Kashmir and Kabul were annexed. In the Deccan Berar, Khandesh and parts of Ahmednagar were won by the Mughals. Thus, Akbar controlled almost entire India. Akbar's Rajput policy. Rajputs were most powerful rivals of Mughals in North India. He was a far-sighted ruler who knew that there could be no permanent Mughal rule in India without the support of the Rajputs. So Akbar adopted a special policy to handle the Rajputs. He tried to be friendly with the Rajput state instead of overpowering them. For this, he adopted all possible measures like matrimonial alliances and assigning higher posts to Rajput chiefs. This made his position stronger and they became his loyal comrades. Battle with Rana Pratap. The only Rajput king who stood against Akbar was Rana Pratap, the ruler of Mewar, and his son Amar Singh. Akbar captured Chittor in 1568 and Ranthambore in 1569. Famous Battle of Haldi Ghati was fought between the Mughals and Rana Pratap in 1576 near Gogundo, Haldi Ghati. The Mughal arms was led by Man Singh of Amber. Maharana Pratap was defeated, but they continued the struggle and did not submit. Religious views of Akbar. In Fatehpur Sikri, there was a room called the Ibadat Khana where religious meetings were held by Akbar. There he used to call a huge which include the ulema, Brahmins, Jesuits, priests and Zoroastrians. Akbar was deeply influenced by different customs and traditions of different regions. On his interaction with these religion leaders, Akbar realized that religion scholars who gave more importance to rituals and dogmas were bigots. He realized that this led to disharmony and a feeling of intolerance among his subjects. Therefore, Akbar gave the idea of Sulh-e-Kul or universal peace. According to this, there would be no discrimination among people of different religion and sects, and there would be honesty, justice, and peace among people. This principle was further followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan. So students, let's connect to history. Akbar was born when Humayun was in exile in Amarkot. At the most of his birth, Humayun distributed the dried flesh of musk deer, kasturi. It has a very distinctive smell. So people blessed the newborn baby with the wish that his fame spread and far and wide, just as the smell of kasturi. And so it did. Jahangir. Jahangir 1605 to 1627 CE, son of Akbar, came to the throne after Akbar's death in 1605 CE. The new ruler of Mewar, Rana Amar Singh, like his father Rana Pratap, had not submitted to the Mughals. So, Jahangir led a campaign against him. Then Rana was defeated in 1614 CE, but because Rana and provided refuge to Jahangir when he had revolted against his father Akbar, he was given liberal terms. Thereafter, he remained loyal to the Mughal Empire. Jahangir's reign was, however, marked by several revolts. Guru Arjan Dev was martyred during this period, thus alienating the Sikh community. Even Jahangir's son Prince Khurram rebelled against him in the last years of his reign. Jahangir wrote his own biography known as Tuzul-e Jahangir. Noor Jahan. In 1611 CE, Jahangir married Meru Nisa, the widow of Sher Afghan Jagirdar of Bengal. He made her his chief queen with the title of Noor Jahan, light of the world. She acquired tremendous power and influence over the king, exerted her authority in all matters of administration, appointed her relatives and favorites to high position, and even had royal firmans, orders, and coins issued in her name. Relations with the Europeans. Various European travelers visited India during Jahangir's reign. The chief among them were William Hawkins and Sir Thomas Roe. William Hawkins was an emissary of King James I of England. He remained in India for 3 years. Sir Thomas Roe came to India in 1615 CE. He succeeded in obtaining trade permission. He got concession with India for the British traders. He also got permission to set up a factory at Surat. Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan, 1627 to 1658 CE, became the ruler in 1627. Mughal campaigns continued in the Deccan under Shah Jahan. He faced rebellions of Afghan noble Khan Jahan Lodi, who was defeated by him. He failed in his Central Asian campaigns. The campaigns to seize Balkh from the Uzbeks was unsuccessful and Kandahar was lost to the Safavids. He led various campaigns against the three Deccan states. Ahmednagar was taken in 1633. Bijapur was submitted in 1636 and Golconda in 1665. He built a new city called Shahjahanabad in Delhi. In 1657 to 1658, there was a conflict over succession among Shah Jahan's son. Aurangzeb was victorious and his three brothers including Dara Shikoh were killed. Shah Jahan was imprisoned for the rest of his life in Agra. He died at the age of 74 in 1666 CE. Aurangzeb. In 1657 CE, a war of succession started due to the illness of Shah Jahan. Among Dara Shikoh, Shah Shuja, Aurangzeb and Murad, Aurangzeb proved to be the strongest of all. He succeeded Shah Jahan. He ruled from 1658 to 1707 CE. Aurangzeb possessed an empire that extended from Ghazni to Bengal and from Kashmir to the Deccan. But he was a religious fanatic. He introduced the much hated jizya and the pilgrim tax that all Hindus needed to pay to the state. He carried out systematic demolition of Hindu temples, especially in Mathura, and increased the land revenue to 1/2 of the total produce in the region to suppress the peasants and Hindu strongholds in the area. However, the modern historians believe that a harsh policy towards these groups was adopted to check their political ambitions. But his religious and Deccan policies proved to be of extreme nature and shook the traditional pillars of political support of the Mughal Empire, namely the Rajputs. The Mughal-Rajput relation remained strained between the years 1679 to 81 CE. Aurangzeb made peace with the Rajputs later on, but the mutual trust of Akbar's age was lost. Now, the arising Marathas in the Deccan under Shivaji were not handled with political wisdom. Aurangzeb faced stiff resistance from the Marathas, remained unsuccessful in subduing the Marathas. The Satnamis, the Jats of Mathura and the Sikh created further political problems for Aurangzeb. The killing of Guru Tegh Bahadur proved to be a political blunder. It was in about 1600 CE, but the English established contacts with the Mughals when Sir Thomas Roy visited the Mughal court. In 1616 CE, the English were permitted to build a factory at Masulipatam. Aurangzeb died in 1707 CE. So students, let's connect to history. Aurangzeb took the title of Alamgir, meaning the conqueror of the world. The Mughal court. The Mughal court was an important part of the Mughal Empire. It was called the Darbar. The Darbar had actually two parts, inner and outer. The inner court constituted mainly of the ruler's family members, private advisors, and also the favorite nobles. The outer court consisting of all the other nobles, dignitaries, officers of the administration, scholars, artists, painters, historians, and others. Under the Mughal Emperor Akbar, the court not only regulated relationships but also acted like a judiciary. The Mughal court was on the style of Persian court. During Shah Jahan's reign, the grandeur and luxury of Mughal court had spread far and wide. Aurangzeb's court was closely identified with Islamic orthodoxy. The Mughal administration. The Mughal administration was a mix of Central Asian ideas and Indian traditions. It was a centralized monarchy with the king enjoying absolute power. Central administration. The king was a head of civil and military administration. He was assisted by a number of officers. The Wazir was the head of the revenue department. The Mir Bakshi looked after military administration. The Khan-e-Saman attended to the needs of the royal household. The Sadr-e-Sadur kept a record of grants and donations made by the king. The Qazi was the chief judge. Provincial administrations. To ensure administrative efficiency, the empire was divided into 15 provinces called Suba. Each Suba was governed by a governor called a Subedar. He served as a link between his province and the king. Each Suba was divided into sarkars or districts, and each sarkar into many parganas. A number of villages made up a pargana. The officer in charge of town administration was called the Kotwal. He performed both police and civil duties. He caught criminals and maintained a list of people living in the area under his jurisdiction. His office was called the Kotwali, a term that is still used. Revenue administration. There were two main sources of revenue for the kingdom: land and trade. Land was the main source. Akbar carried out a lot of reforms in land revenue administration. His revenue ministers, Raja Todarmal, introduced a land revenue arrangement which came to be known as Todarmal's Bandobast. Under the system introduced by Todarmal, land was measured and divided into good, middle and bad. Land revenue was fixed according to the fertility of the land. In 1580, a system called the Dashala was introduced. Under this, the average produce and the average price prevailing over the last 10 years was calculated. The revenue for the years was calculated on the basis of this average. 1/3 of this figure was the share of the king. It could be paid either in cash or kind, though the king preferred cash. This system continued more or less the same way under Akbar's successors also. The revenue from trade was much less compared to that from land. Still, both internal as well as overseas trade was encouraged by the rulers. Trade was carried on with China, Central Asia, and later with Europe. The main items of exports were textiles, spices, indigo, and saltpeter. Mansabdari system. With the help of Mansabdari system, Akbar organized his nobility and gave them military responsibility. Every Mansabdar held a Mansab, meaning a position or rank called Zat. The Mansabs were divided into Zat and Sawar. Zat means the personal salary and Sawar meant the number of horsemen he had to maintain. Apart from his own salary, the Mansabdars also had the responsibility to maintain a specified number of Sawars or horsemen. The Mansabdars brought his cavalrymen for review, got them registered and their horses branded. The Mansabdars got their salaries in the form of Jagirs or land estates, whose revenue was given to them as their salary. However, they did not reside in or administer their Jagir. The revenue was collected by the servants. Revenue. During Akbar's rule, the revenues were roughly equal to salary of the Mansabdar, whereas during Aurangzeb's reign, the revenue used to be lesser than the granted sum. There was increase in number of mansabdars, which meant a long wait before they receive a jagir. These factors created a shortage in number of jagirs. So many jagirdars tried to gain as much as revenue possible while they had a jagir. Due to this, peasantry suffered a lot. So students, it's time to wrap up. Mughal Empire was founded by Babur, who defeated the Lodi Sultan Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat. Humayun succeeded Babur in 1530. He was defeated by Sher Shah Suri at Chausa in 1529 and at Kannauj in 1540, which forced him to flee to Iran. Shah Jahan succeeded Jahangir. He suppressed many revolts and conquered more regions. Aurangzeb was the last of the great Mughals. His reign saw many revolts, the most powerful being that of the Marathas and the Sikhs. His Deccan policy weakened the empire. Land and trade were the two main sources of revenue. Raja Todarmal was the revenue minister of Akbar. He introduced a land revenue arrangement which came to be known as Todarmal's Bandobast. So students, it's time to take your leave. We'll meet in the next class. Bye.